Have you ever watched opinion leaders from the Insurtech and insurance space being surprised by all sorts of unexpected questions? No, right? And that's why we introduced InsurChat. Every episode features 3 guests that engage with each other on different topics than you're used to. A unique opportunity to get to know the brightest minds of Insurtech.
Hello everyone, Bruno Scaroni. I work for Assicurazioni Generali. My current role is Group Head of Strategy and Business Accelerator Director, which is basically linked with the strategy of the group, as well as the transformation office, the development and partnership activities.
Hi everyone, Jan Kastory speaking. I'm a founding partner of Astoria. We are investing in seed Insurtech startups, and we're sourcing startups for insurers to work with.
Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Jeroen Morrenhof, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Friss. And Friss is an AI SaaS solution that insurers use to prevent, detect, and fight fraud.
Officially, the last movie I saw at a cinema was in New York when they released The Lord of the Rings. But we're talking about something that goes way back to 2002, yeah. I guess. So some 8 years ago.
You know, it's been actually months I haven't been to the cinema, but I really love it. And if I recall well, the last movie I watched was is called Dark Waters by Mark Ruffalo, and it's a para-documentary about what corporation was that? The corporation which is producing Tefal pans, for instance, and about the corporate fraud and how they were poisoning the waters of the rivers in Ohio, if I remember well. A great movie, and actually Mark Ruffalo added to the cast a few people who were impacted by this corporate fraud and this natural catastrophe which it caused. So highly recommended. I think you can find it somewhere on Netflix or this kind of websites these days.
But the last movie that I actually visited in the cinema for me was The Avengers, The Endgame. And so it's not necessarily the movie of my choice, but my 2 boys took me there. Actually right after it was released. And they loved it. And there's, I must say, it's great animations and there's a lot of effort in this. But yeah, spoiler alert, the story itself is pretty thin. I mean, you have all the superheroes, and then you have Thanos, and then guess who wins, right? So.
Well, I would say Africa. I have 2 kids, 2 daughters actually, aged 7 and 5, and I cannot imagine anything more gratifying and more thrilling than going to a game drive with them and showing them elephants or lions, you name what kind of wild animal one could observe. That's for sure. And I also would love to see the African sky again, which is a completely different thing than anything that we have in Europe.
Mm. You know what? So I think I would go with a very similar motivation, but I would pick Galapagos Islands. The reason is also nature. And if you think, and there was this movie, like End of Life movie by David Attenborough recently, I think somewhere available on Netflix, about how the planet is changing. So I think that saying Galapagos is not only saying the last place I would go, but the last chances to go to this place before it becomes really, a closed for everyone place to visit. And I guess we have probably a few years to do it. So.
Well, being Italian, 100%, I would say pizza. Pizza for sure. A non-baked pizza with a wooden oven, that would be my midnight wake-up call, for sure.
And I won't be original. It's going to be a pizza for me. I would never reject a slice of pizza. I proposed to my wife after a pizza dinner. That's a company. That's my life company.
Hope it's not Domino's.
For me, it is. It's also a Dutch treat. So you have Italian treats, but my treat is bitterballen, which is sort of a snack where you can get in any other country, I think, and I cannot get it here in the US as well. But it's kind of a ragu with a crust around it. I cannot describe it any better. And we eat that somehow all the time when we go out for drink or whatever. And bitterballen is something that I miss, but also something that I love so if I get a chance, I would love to get some portion of bitterballen.
I actually enjoy teaching. So I had to take care of my 5-year-old girl because it's impossible for a 5-year-old kid to stay in front of a video and kind of like digitally interact with each other. Come on, that's nonsense at that age, unless you're a small Einstein, right? So most of the homework that she got was something that we had to do and send back, and it was falling in these sort of empty hours in between calls. But I thoroughly enjoyed teaching. So how to make yourself clear, how to explain things, how to make sure people understand. It's a joy as well as a privilege. And actually, going back to the question around different professions, teaching would be something that I would love to do at some point in my life, if I have something to say or to teach, of course.
Nice, yeah.
So for me, a hobby around during pandemic is hard to say because I did some life-changing moves. I had to move from Paris to Warsaw, where I'm based right now. So I could say, traveling around Europe in a small car with all your life, luggage. That would be one hobby that I developed. But you know what? It's actually something interesting, Bruno, that you mentioned. I wouldn't call it a hobby because it's something way more important, is taking care of your kids during pandemic. And I started to spend much more time during the day with my son, and it made me way happier than I was before. Seeing him grow, the fact that, well, it was interrupting for your daily job, but doing a puzzle in the middle of the day, spending 15 minutes, it gives such a pleasure. It's hard to compare with anything else.
Yeah. I want to echo both of your statements because I feel exactly the same. So and to make that more specific for myself. So two things. I did pack everything and put that in an RV, right? So I was not allowed to travel again to the Netherlands. But then we thought, okay, let's take an RV, and then we went west here. So we've gone 7 weeks almost to Wyoming, South Dakota, Colorado, Utah. That was beautiful, and I was working basically from anywhere, and not everywhere we had good Wi-Fi or cellular reception, but still it was a great time for the family, and it's beautiful country as well to see. So that's and the other thing, spending time with the family. So that was an ERV trip, but also another. So I totally get that, Jan, that what you say, that we're spending more time and being at home, being more close. But so one of the things that I've took up is I became the coach of the soccer team of my son. So that's something that I always wanted to do, but as I could never commit to training and being on the pitch every 2 or 3 times a week, right? So because I was traveling all the time, and now I don't. So I took it up. And I love it. So it's and that's also actually more strategic. I mean, I've watched a lot of games, but being a coach and trying to strategize on the pitch how to win and beat the other team is actually a lot of fun. So I love to spend the time with my kid, and also it also challenged me as well. So yeah, that's great. Yes. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
It was great.
Thanks a lot. Pleasure meeting you.
Stay online.